Ciao, everybody. Welcome back to Bianconerizonechannel. My name is Julian, and obviously, we are here to talk about the bombshell that hit Juventus and the social media aspect of Juventus football last night. I'm going to show you a lot of stuff that's happened throughout the social media and what's been reported about Juventus and Agnelli and the board resigning. When I say resigning, I mean they've been politely shoved and kicked to the corner. If you read the official Juventus statement, it's pretty funny. They're foregoing their powers is what the exact words were in it. So follow along if you're here, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and comment. What do you in the comment section below what you think of all of it, of all of this situation. I'll give you my thoughts, but we're gonna go through just basically what happened throughout the evening last night. It happened, I think, the 70th minute of the Portugal-Uruguay match in the World Cup, and my eyes were completely taken off the game when it happened. I was full blown into the shitstorm that is Juventus is now. So we'll go into some of the three, basically. We'll go Romeo Gresti, then Ben Jacobs, and then Giovanni Albanese. I'll give you my thoughts throughout, and then I'll give you some other little tidbits as well. But before we go into that, I'll just preface everything by saying we don't know what's going to happen long term. We don't know what's going to happen short term. So we do know what's going to happen short term because we have a name and we have a little couple dates in the foreseeable future at least, but we don't know how it's going to escalate. We don't know what the team or the players are going to think. So at this moment in time, let's let everything take a step back and let everything process as this whole thing comes to light. It is due to finances and not on the field stuff. So let's get that out of the way right now. So let's go on to Romeo Gresti's tweet. I don't know. He basically broke the Juventus internet. So let's go to it now. You can see a little Cookie Monster there. But now you can see Juventus, the entire board of directors resigned in conjunction with an extraordinary assembly. So that's his tweet. That's the tweet that was like, I looked at it, I was like, weird. What do you mean by this? And as you can see right below, one of our members, Haneen, she says, what does this mean? Rightly so. Like, what are you talking about? We had no idea that this was potentially in the works. There was no prior reporting from Romeo, from Giovanni, from all the big wigs at Juventus, Fabiana. Nobody was reporting anything like this could potentially happen. So this was very out of the blue. So when we see this, we're like, okay, weird. And then everyone starts hopping on it. Everyone starts giving their two cents of information, whatnot. So basically, there are 10 board members. I'm not going to name them all. The main ones are Pavel Nedved, and Agnelli. Agnelli, the CEO, the president. So they're the main ones that resigned, along with 8 other board members, along with Maurizio Arrivabene. So he's the CEO of Juventus, but we'll get into him later. We'll get into what his business is. So 11 of those people, big wigs at Juventus, are now gone. They've resigned, and this is due to finances from the pandemic years, the 2020, the 2021 year, for falsified accounts. Whether obviously it's not good news. Obviously they've doctored the accounts. They've doctored how much we've probably lost. Although when you think about it, we've lost. We documented that we've lost a lot of money the past couple of years. I don't know what they were hiding. I don't know why they were hiding it. I don't know why they made deferred payments not applicable on the balance sheet. Shady shit from these people. So rightfully, they were kicked to the curb, or they were asked to be kicked to the curb politely by the shareholders or John Elkin, let's say, and now they're gone. So we'll move on from Romeo's tweet because this is the bombshell that hit everybody at the beginning. So we'll go to Ben Jacobs now, who better describes it in more of a anglicized way of explaining what happened from an English perspective. So we'll go here. I think everyone can see this. Yeah. So the report is he works for Ben Jacobs. We had him on this channel before. He's on CBS Sports in the USA, but he's an English guy, giving an English perspective of the game. Juventus officially confirmed their entire board has resigned. They acknowledge the so-called salary maneuvers of financial years 2010 or 2020, 2021, adding that the complexity of such profiles on valuation elements may be subject to different interpretations. Again, the deferred payments from the player salaries during the pandemic years were not fully illustrated on the balance sheets. So that's part one. This is a long thread, and there's a picture of some of the guys there. So he goes on to report, statement adds, the board of directors members, given the centrality and the relevance of the pending legal and technical accounting matters, considered in the best interest of the company that Juventus provided itself with a new board of directors to address these matters. So basically, out with those 10, they're going to get a new 10, or I don't know how many, but they're going to get a new board of directors basically to come in. And I think that's going to be January 18th. I don't know if Ben says this, but I've read that it's going to be January 18th where we not settle this all, but new people will be in place. So the next one is Juventus have appointed Maurizio Scanavino as general manager, and he has asked CEO Maurizio Rivabene, who we mentioned, has resigned as well, but in due time he is going to help guide Scanavino to stay until a new board is formed. Turin prosecutors have alleged Juventus falsified their accounts, including on whether salaries were deferred or just scarified during the pandemic, and inflated their transfer fees in order to balance their books. Now this, you can take this a couple of ways with this report. If Juventus sells Stefano Sturaro for 16.5 million euros to Genoa, and those payments are made over a 4-year period, Genoa's agreed to that transfer. Genoa says, okay, we'll give you, 4.125 million over 4 years, or across 4 seasons, to Juventus for the player Stefano Sturaro. That's agreed by 2 teams, so I don't think that that's why they're getting penalized here. I think they're getting penalized because of the way they put those transfers and the way they're making money on their accounts. Because that, could be doctored. That could be manipulated. That could be put in a different way. But the actual transaction between 2 clubs, it's whatever the 2 clubs justify the price. Because if we were getting investigated, then the Arthur Pjanic deal would be looked at. So then Barcelona Spanish authorities would have to look into Barcelona, the Danilo Cancelo swap, the Pellegrini, who do we send to Roma? Spinazzola swap. There'd be a lot more teams also in trouble, but I think it's the way we put these transactions on our balance sheet. Now, I'm speculating here, but it could mean that the 16.5 million, I'm using Sturaro again because that's the egregious one, or that's an egregious one. Stefano Sturaro, 16.5 million to Genoa. Maybe we got it all right away, and that's how we put it on our books, which is schoolboy error, by the way, if that's the case. It's a schoolboy error from Juventus accountants or whatever, or whoever oversees the finances. But I think that's what happened here. I don't see why just the agreements on a sale between 2 clubs would be an issue, like a criminal issue. So let's read below. Also, let me know what you guys think as well. Do you agree with that take? Do you agree with that take about how I see it? Whereas 2 teams can agree to a price and that transaction is done, but the way we put it on our books might be why we're being prosecuted. Well, not we, those 10 people. He goes on to say, if prosecutors are successful, there could be jail time for those embroiled, although the endless appeals of the Italian legal system will still make that unlikely since the case could just run out of time. That happens a lot in Italian court cases. Juventus has done the Calciopoli appeal numerous times and nothing's come of it. So similar idea. Juventus were banking on a €1 billion joining bonus from the European Super League into April 2021 and have struggled financially since it failed. They posted a €254 million loss for the 2022 season. And we knew that. So again, why are we doctoring stuff if it's just bad already? This is very foolish errors on everyone's part, everyone included in this. It's foolish. Schoolboy. I think there's the last one from Ben. Andrea Agnelli's departure could also be bad news for Max Allegri. Oh, yeah. Agnelli has said multiple times Allegri will be at worst given the full season. A new board may disagree. This is where I'm saying long-term approach. We have no idea what's going to happen. Romeo Gresti touched on this as well. Romeo Gresti says now that nobody on the board has Allegri's back, what does this mean for him? And then you see all the nonsense reports that Cherubini and Allegri had lunch last night or dinner last night to talk about everything. Who knows? That's paparazzi shit at that point. Who knows what that is? So Ben perfectly illustrates what's going on here. The main thing is people are the bigwigs are going to be prosecuted for the way they manipulated the books on terms of deferred payment salaries during the pandemic and we joked about the financial doping. So again, I don't think it's the actual Danilo Cancelo swap for like 63 million for Cancelo, 37 million for Danilo. I don't think it's that aspect of it. I think it's the way it's booked on the accounts. I think that is what the issue is. Again, nothing has actually come out from it yet, so we're still left in the dark right now. And then we'll finally move on to Giovanni Albanese, who is, again, I'm going to have to translate this because he speaks Italian. The new general manager of Juventus is Maurizio Scanavino. Arrivabene, also who's resigning, was asked to continue to carry out the duties of the managing director until the appointment of new board of directors, which will take place in the shareholders meeting on January 18th. So that's the next shareholders meeting for Juventus is January 18th. So that is 2 months from now. Buckle your seatbelts because who knows what's going to happen. We also have another post from him right after in his little thread. But January 18th is the main date that we're looking for next in this saga. The sports area continues to be headed by Cherubini, who seems to be scot-free in all this, working together with Max Allegri to identify a reinforcement, low-cost, ambidextrous winger, ambidextrous meaning left foot, right foot, could play either side. In the Mercato session in January, it will probably be the first purchase of the new president. So if we're calculating these, new president gets named January 18th, or at least spoken about, not probably fully announced, but spoken about. Then they have 13 days to get a signing in. I can't believe we're even talking about transfers right now. But at this point, I don't know how much we can take into this report in particular about the sporting area. We do know Cherubini still has his job. We know Allegri still has his job. We know we still need another wing back. Also, this particular profile screams Joachim Miley or Karsdorp. So take that what you will. But yeah, so we have crazy things going on here in Juve land. So basically, the grand scheme of things, I think the finances were treated very poorly by Juventus, the way everything was manipulated on the books. Obviously, that's why they resigned. That's why they're in trouble right now. If I'm going to put this out there as well, Juventus lost to Maccabi Haifa and Monza in like a 2-week span, and they got 1 win out of 5, or 1 win and 5 losses in the Champions League. And Agnelli didn't resign, and Nedved didn't resign when he was yelling at the top of his lungs to get Max Allegri out. So just one random November 28th, evening these guys decided to resign. No, it's because strictly due to finances and what they've done in the past and what our finances have looked like and our books and our accounting. What does this mean for the future? Will Dusan, Chiesa, Bremer, will they go? I don't think so. I think this has nothing to do with on the field product. I think these players are still making their money. They haven't cheated. There's no, we called the ref. There's no 2006 shenanigans. This is just accounting. This is just math. This is just credits and debits that are being allocated on an open business, an open company on the stock market. So let me know what you guys think. Are you guys worried? Are you guys nervous? I'm not too nervous, to be honest. I don't think we can get relegated for this. I know we can't get relegated for this. One of our friends at the Bianconeri Zone, Misak, he put a damper on everything, or not damper, but he shed some light onto the situation. There's no reason why we can get relegated for this. UEFA hasn't looked into this because it's the Italian police. So we're not going to get a transfer ban because UEFA didn't look into it. The most that's going to happen is maybe a financial penalty, which is who cares? I'm not paying it. You're not paying it. The club might, but we're already broke anyway. So if that's the case, you pay the penalty and potential jail time for these 10 individuals, 11 individuals. But that's not, I don't care. That doesn't matter to me. I care what happens on the field. And I don't think this will distract the players too much because it happened during the World Cup and the players don't come back until another 3 or 4 weeks. So we have a lot of stuff to cover throughout the next couple of weeks for sure. This week is going to be crazy, so stay tuned to the Bianconeri Zone on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. Follow at Bianconeri Zone. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Give your say. Let us know what you think. Do you agree with my take on the finances when talking about the one Ben Jacobs tweet? What are your thoughts? Do you think we're screwed? Or do you think we'll be just fine? Let us know, and we'll speak to you on the live tonight. So stay tuned. Have a good night, everybody.